香港問題嘅睇法。而港督彭定康以港大校監嘅身份出席主持問答時間。不過李光耀總共只係答咗2個問題啫，其中一個問題係由港督提出嘅。港督問到英國喺過去50年撤出亞洲殖民地嘅過程當中李光耀從中係得到乜嘢嘅啟示？
On the whole, it has been a disappointing exercise. I remember as a student in Britain being taught constitutional law by a very distinguished professor who had been one of Churchill's cabinet secretaries. And he illustrated with the example of Ceylon how the ideal transition to democracy and self-government would take place. They had their first municipal elections in 1932 for mayor of Colombo and a council for Colombo. They had 2 universities. They had a thick layer of professionals and administrative officers. They had large sterling balances. So they started off with all the advantages that would ensure progress and prosperity. Of course, I was taught this in 1947 when Ceylon had just got independence. And India, of course, had just gone into turmoil with breakup of Pakistan and India. I have never believed that democracy brings progress. I know it to have brought regression. I watch it year by year, every 2 years when I meet my fellow members of the leaders of the Commonwealth. And it need not have been thus. The British never governed these countries by one man, one vote. It was one British government, one British resident, and his word was law. And he had good district officers whose word was also law for that district.
李光耀認為呢一啲前英國殖民地而家仲係一片混亂。英國當年用嘅
The conclusion that no ingenious democratic system of one man, one vote can ever bridge the divide between a majority Sinhalese population of about 14 to 16 million, whose intention is to dominate and to bring down some 2 million Tamils in Jaffna to their level. And Jaffna Tamils have, by tradition, been the better educated, been the administrators, been the judges, been the professionals. And that this breakup into warfare was inevitable.
李光耀跟住引述一位政治教授嘅文章，指出當年嘅印度仲係封建社會，根本冇條件推行一人一票嘅民主制度。
It was a feudal society where the landlord controlled the votes of illiterate peasants. It was a divided society, although they were all Muslims. And sure enough, it's fallen apart. So, I think regardless of the present missionary zeal of the Americans of democracy and human rights, which has broken up the Soviet Union, it would be misguided to believe that what has worked in very special circumstances amongst European societies and what is barely working in Korea and Taiwan is universally valid.
李光耀認為英國人喺撤出殖民地之前先喺當地進行民主同埋一人一票選舉，並唔切合亞洲嘅文化同埋價值觀。佢認為人民希望嘅只係一個好嘅政府。
How to establish good government? Good government means a government that considers itself a trustee of the people, whether you're king, chief, or whatever. Not somebody in temporary charge and insecure and therefore out to settle an annuity and a nest egg for yourself, which is what has happened in so many countries. So if you ask me what my thoughts on decolonization are, I think they are grim, because Western political scientists have not lived in these societies, have not understood that what is required is economic progress, development, and the final blossoming of a large educated middle class, which alone can sustain a democracy. When you have 60 to 70% of your population educated, knowing what will work and what will not work, then one man, one vote makes sense.
而喺李光耀發炮抨擊英國撤出殖民地嘅手法之後文匯報尋日咧就用咗大半版嘅篇幅同英國政鬥仗。另外當日台下一位人士問到李光耀，根據佢嘅標準，香港應唔應該有民主呢？李光耀認為除非香港可以同中國分割，咁先至可以爭取民主㗎。李光耀話：如果佢係中國領導人，會考慮到香港、台灣同埋西藏問題，所以佢唔想外國插手香港。
If I give way on Hong Kong to the British, who do not have either military or economic clout to hurt me, then I'm inviting trouble from from Bill Clinton. Chris Patton can only express his exasperation, but Bill Clinton can turn MFN off. Hong Kong deserves democracy, but alas, in the world as it is, we do not often get what we deserve.
The five men left for Shunan on a perfect day, traveling upriver by junk to what was described as a bustling market town on the edge of a lake. I was looking forward to finding Shunan, as it was at this point that they had made their first contact with another foreigner. To their great surprise, Miss Loosely of the China Inland Mission greeted them in the main street and invited them to her house for afternoon tea. But I was having problems with my map. Where the river had snaked inland through mountain gorges and forests, there was now a vast expanse of water called Thousand Island Lake. I learned that a huge inland reservoir has been created, which drowned the old town under 200 feet of water. The sharp-edged islands whose sides plummet into the lake were once the mountain tops which encircled Shunan. If Miss Loosely is still there, she is holding her breath. In Shunan, a Chinese lorry was put at their disposal, and they set off in a southwesterly direction towards the town of Nanchang. One of the things that impresses me most about China is her remarkable ability to feed the population. Mind you, nothing goes to waste. The bits we throw away are the bits they treasure. Pig stomachs, chicken's feet, fish lips. It takes some getting used to. But eating your way through a Chinese menu is one thing, becoming Chinese quite another. And no matter how hard I try, I will always be a Darbeezer, a big nose, a foreign devil, in the nicest sense of the word.
Young, I was invincible, you know, as many young people are today. No, I personally had no doubts I would make it. And I've since said that about the war days. I mean, you never met anybody who said, well, I was killed.